They are back, Florida Foreclosures. Today I want to share my experience in marketing, handling bank-owned properties, and actually helping people avoid foreclosure and what I see moving forward. To introduce myself, my name is Troy Funk, and that's Funk, F-U-N-K, Funk, and I have been in the real estate business and I've been a resident of Florida going on 4 decades now, and I've seen a lot of change to Florida in that time period, and I want to just share my experience of handling and helping people through a foreclosure. Now, first off, to kind of give you some perspective, I am currently in Venice, Florida. And Venice, Florida, to me, is one of the most special places in the state of Florida. I love this place, especially the island of Venice. The island of Venice, if we go back in time, back in 2006, I owned 2 homes on this island, and they were both vacation rental properties that I actually enjoyed because when they weren't rented, it was a free place for me to come and stay in my own house, furnished house, go to the beach, and then when they were rented, I was collecting rental income. So I had 2 homes here on the island of Venice, and in addition to that, at one point I owned 18 rental properties, and I was very invested in real estate. Well, I was doing very well at that point, and of course it never looked like it was going to stop, right? I mean, real estate just kept going through the roof. Prices, no matter what you paid for it, the next month it was worth more money. And I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that theory, right? I mean, no matter what you bought, it was going to be a good investment. Well, then back in 06 and 08, of course, we know what happened, and everything changed, and it changed really quickly. And I remember the time when I owned those homes here on the island, and I decided I need to get out because all of a sudden my assets became liabilities very quickly as the mortgages were higher than what the property was worth. And I never saw that coming. I never saw the idea that real estate could fall so much that the mortgage would become a liability. The mortgage would become greater than what the asset was worth. So of course that was problematic because now I had all this debt and I didn't have the income to support it. My renters went away, I couldn't get the same rent, and now I was in big trouble. And obviously I knew I had to get out of these properties, and I had to get out of them quick. So I put them on the market, and the market kept falling, and the prices kept falling. They kept falling very, very quickly. So I learned a lot, and I'll just say I learned a lot about foreclosures in that time period, and certainly how to help people get out of foreclosures. So I was successful in selling a lot of my assets and also doing a short sale on the properties that had negative equity. And I got out of those debts. And I got out of those debts pretty much definitely without a deficiency judgment. So I was never liable for those debts. There was a tax situation in which I learned a lot about how to resolve a tax situation with the foreclosure. So, you know, I went through the whole gamut of having properties in my name, facing foreclosure, and how to get out of foreclosure. And you know what was funny is that was actually one of the greatest blessings in my life. And I didn't see it at the time because, of course, you know, when one door closes, another door opens. And what happened was I was in a real comfortable place, young in my life, and I had a lot of blessings that I probably didn't appreciate as well as I should have. And especially with having 2 houses here on the island and having a pretty good life. But I was kind of bored. You know, I really needed some purpose in life. I needed to do something that was helpful for other people. And all of a sudden, the market crashed. That gave me an opportunity to reinvent myself, become something else. And what I did is I focused my energy on helping other people that were going through the same experience that I was in avoiding foreclosure and getting out of foreclosure. So that was a good experience for me at that point in my life. Here I went back in the office and started selling again. I had over 100 sales that first year back, so to speak. And I was pretty consistent moving forward in helping others avoid foreclosure. So I've had a lot of experience with foreclosure, and I can kind of see that we're also in this time period again of being concerned because we're seeing absolute definite signs as the market is slowing down and inventory is increasing. We're seeing a lot of price reductions, And how does that all impact the foreclosure market? Well, you may think, well, we've had a really healthy run of real estate for a while. And with that, we've seen a lot of appreciation. And with all that appreciation, how could we start seeing foreclosures? So how is it that we're going to start seeing foreclosures increase greatly in the marketplace? And what's the result of all that and the cause of all that? Well, first off, we had pandemic, and pandemic slowed that process down immensely. Now, in a normal market, you're going to have foreclosures. You're going to have a consistent percentage of properties, a low percentage, hopefully, that goes through the system through foreclosure. Foreclosure, a lot of times, is a result of something very bad happening to a good person. Could be divorce, could be a loss of a job. And it's just hard to get back on your feet and try to get the payments up. So inevitably, the banks do need to foreclose at the end to protect their overall investment. Well, there's ways to stop foreclosure, and there's ways to pretty much help the person in that process so they can maximize what they need to and move forward in the best possible way. But foreclosures happen, and this pandemic absolutely slowed everything down. So we've had moratoriums on foreclosures, moratoriums on rentals, and as such, things have been slowed way down. So getting back in momentum of where things were, and that's exactly where we are. We have been off momentum of the number of foreclosures that have gone through the system. And as such, a lot of them were delayed, a lot of them were coming back. Well, you may think, well, those sellers have equity, right? Well, that's kind of a subjective idea here, because when you're not making your mortgage payment, every month you don't make that mortgage payment, you owe that mortgage payment, plus you owe legal fees to collect that, and then all the other costs. So even though you may feel like you have a lot of equity, you may not. And it's also subjective to the market. Well, the market has been soaring over the last couple years, especially after with the pandemic and all the adjustments that have been made. But when the interest rates started going back up, we have seen this huge slowdown. So values are subjective. Just because your neighbor sold for X dollars doesn't mean that that's going to be your value next month, especially if we start seeing a lot more inventory coming on the market. So a lot of sellers are thinking, look, I can wait to the last minute before I let the bank, before I have to sell the property or do something with it and live here as long as possible. Well, that's a risky bet, especially now in a market where we're seeing a lot of adjustments with prices coming in. If a seller has a property in foreclosure and there's equity there, they're risking losing that equity if they don't act in a timely manner. Now, I experienced this when I was selling my properties, and the market just started falling very quickly. And I'm not saying the market's gonna fall quickly, but I am saying that if you're facing foreclosure, timing is everything. And as such, what I've done is I've tried to be a resource to help people that are facing foreclosure. I created a separate website that kind of gives all the options if someone is facing foreclosure, and what they can do to avoid foreclosure. So how bad is this foreclosure crisis upon us? Well, to give you some perspective, I actually check the foreclosures at the county clerk's office on a consistent basis, and anyone pretty much has access to do this. You can go to your local county, go to their website, look into the number of foreclosures. I know in our county, Sarasota County, we're able to look at a calendar of foreclosures coming into the marketplace, and it gives me some perspectives of sales that are happening and the dates that they're happening, and it gives you a lot of information on those foreclosures as well. So we can see a forecast of what's happening coming forward. And right now we're seeing about a foreclosure a day in the Sarasota County Courthouse. Now that's not bad, really. I mean, in the height of 2008, where we had the most foreclosures that I've ever seen, I was seeing days where we would have 30, and actually there was some days that were actually had 60. So to have one foreclosure a day right now doesn't feel like a lot. And I would say, let's just say the news starts saying foreclosures increased 500%. Well, that would be from one foreclosure a day to 5 foreclosures a day. And that would seem a little more in balance and a little more in momentum of where things probably need to be in a normal basis. So just foreclosures are going to increase just to get back into a momentum space of where they were. But we have some other factors upon us. Of course, with the economy, we have a lot of concerns with people losing jobs, and what could that entail? So are there going to be some opportunities? There's always opportunities, whether we're in a good market or bad market. If you buy the right real estate, it's always a good market. It's always a good time to buy. And this idea that things are going to crash, I don't know. It'd take a lot for it to crash, because the state that I'm in right now, Florida, is a destination location state. We've got 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. So we have the demand. Where we have problems right now is we don't have affordable housing. And of course, the inventory has been low, but the inventory is increasing again. And that's going to be good for buyers that have been locked out of the marketplace looking for real estate. But for sellers, it's just going to be a little more strategic in how to time this out, because if you are facing foreclosure, there's a point where it's all going to have to be resolved, and the longer you wait, the less options you have. So again, I hope I've been helpful to you. My name is Troy Funk. I'm a licensed real estate broker. If I can be of any help, please reach out to me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.